Women of Reddit. What things do men do that frighten you without them even realizing it? Invading my space. I used a massage chair a few weeks ago at the gym, and it's one of the newer models that will lift you and bring you to a reclined position about 3 feet off the ground. I'm 5'1", so for some that may not seem too high, but for me it's pretty elevated feeling. There was this man who walked into the room, kept looking at me, and tapped me to ask me my name and tell me I was pretty. I had headphones in. My eyes were shut, and I clearly was not wanting to engage with anyone. Flashed him my engagement ring. My fiancé wasn't at the gym at the time, and told him my fiancé was coming to join me. Never saw a man book it so hard. It's so frustrating that no matter who clear you are trying to make the fact you are a woman who is not interested in talking to people, it's not respected. Until you insinuate a more masculine partner is present. May have been intentional there, but I feel like a lot of times invasion of space can be unintentional.
The gym. Headphones mean do not approach. The gym I used to go to had a women's only cardio section, but they had a man staff member monitoring it. He chatted to me one day and I replied to him. Then the next time he'd gesture for me to take out my headphones so he could talk to me. I said versions of I'm not a morning person, I'd rather just listen to my music than talk, sorry. But he still tried for weeks after. I straight up would get off the equipment I was using and move to another machine to get away from him. He then said to me, I thought we were friends. I don't understand why you won't talk to me. And of course the final, I should have known you'd be a bitch, girls that look like you always are. Your looks will fade, then you'll just be a bitch. In retrospect I should have said something to the gym management, but I didn't want to get him in trouble. But I was young, so instead just started doing cardio in the male and female section.
Please don't talk to or approach a woman pumping gas, especially at night. I'm sure the moon does look amazing, but I am not interested right now. Gas stations are creepy enough without having to make small talk with a stranger. This goes for parking lots at night as well. The only things they say to you, even if not inappropriate, are sexually charged or are inappropriate. Demanding justification for every no. And when it's given, arguing about how my reasons aren't valid.
Yes. I had one of my coworkers ask me if I wanted to grab a drink after work. I politely declined and he kept asking why. I eventually explained I want to keep my work and private life separate, and he kept telling me that was silly and that he didn't understand. I eventually just told him to stop and walked away because he wouldn't shut up about it. Later the same guy also asked me if I was going to this work party, and when I said no, he said, come on, I'll even drive you home so you can drink. Woo, no thanks.
When they emphasize that I don't need to be frightened of them completely unprompted. No easier way of getting me to be on my guard.
Oh God, I had one of these guys. He opened the train door for me to get off. It opens automatically, and so I said thanks. Apparently he took that as an invitation, because he then followed me through the station trying to talk to me. I was polite but dismissive. He was creeping me out, so I stopped to top up my Metro card even though I didn't need to. He stopped and waited for me. I pretended I didn't see him. He then followed me out of the station asking me where I lived. I lied, and then asked me if I had a boyfriend. I said yes. He then asked if I had Facebook. I didn't answer, and then asked me if my boyfriend had my Facebook password. He then told me, you don't need to be scared of me, I just want to be friends. By this stage I was fully freaked and was texting my boyfriend about it. I didn't want to go to my bus stop in case he followed me home, so I walked to the most populated street I could find, still ignoring him while he followed me. Eventually I went into a supermarket and thankfully lost him. I have never spoken to a man on a train or at a station ever again. I don't even make eye contact.
Don't know where you are, but I work on the tube in London. This happens to a lot of women. Find a member of staff. If someone tells me they are being harassed, I will stand with them. If the guy still hangs around, I'll take them to the office and call the transport police. If you live somewhere there are no staff on the station, I'd advise looking for a group of women or men if you feel comfortable with that. Ask if you can stand with them. Predators target single people and are less likely to continue harassing you if you are in a group. If you aren't comfortable asking for help, walk next to a group that are heading towards the exit.
This dude used to come into the restaurant I was waitressing at and would wear this come and go shirt and would offer to buy a bunch of underage girls shots. He didn't realize he was creepy, You could tell by the way he paraded his friends around with his boombox and played loud-ass music on the patio of the restaurant. Apparently, he was a rich prick who donated money to the restaurant all the time. After I left, I heard a story that he fixated on one of the waitresses that was nice to him, and he would follow her around and to her car. He even bought her a shit ton of expensive presents for Christmas, which she refused. Approaching well in a car and blocking our path with said car. Happened while I was on a walk, so he could have parked, approached on foot, and maintained a respectable distance. 3 years ago, I matched with a guy on Tinder and agreed to meet up with him. He suggested going to a park, and when I got there, it was a heavily wooded area with a trail, and I stupidly followed him into the trail. We walked around for a while, sat on some rocks. Then it started getting dark, and we decided to head out, but we ended up getting lost and not being able to find the exit, and we stumbled upon a grave-sized hole in the dirt, and at this point it was pitch black and I was thinking it was all a set up and that I was going to be ambushed. I pointed out the grave-sized hole and he seemed scared too, so I gave him the benefit of the doubt and stayed quiet. We finally found an exit after about an hour of stumbling in pitch-black darkness. We're still dating to this day, and I've brought up what a horrible date plan that was, and how it came off the wrong way. Lol, and he said he didn't realize it at the time. It was a total curb your enthusiasm moment. I was picked up that day, so I didn't have a car with me to back out and drive home, so that was pretty dumb of me too.
I've seen men comment on other posts women lie about loving hiking. Whenever I propose it on a first date, they say no and just want to do the standard boring cafe or restaurant. Bless them for having no idea that isolated first dates are scary as hell. I'm glad you are still dating your guy and it worked out well for you. The human-sized hole would have freaked me out.
Guy who I sometimes see at work has at least 20 years on me. Fucking pulled my ponytail to say hi one time. So shocked that I just smiled awkwardly and didn't say anything. Like, what world are you living in that you think that's okay? Edit, this got kinda big. Some more details. I was able to talk to him later that day about how that wasn't acceptable and to not do anything like it in the future. He actually took it pretty well and has been fine to work with since. In this case, since there was no escalation, and I know my boss and other coworkers have my back, I didn't feel the need to do anything further. While some people have good intentions and don't know their behavior is out of line, those actions still cause hurt. Personally, as long as the person is able to acknowledge that hurt and do better moving forward, I'm good with them. Malicious predators are a different story. It can be hard to tell the difference in some situations. You'll be careful out there. It's not frightening per se, but it definitely makes me wary because it could lead to situations that are frightening. When talking to a guy, he's super pushy. Like asking for pics of this and that, and even saying no, they're still pushy. All that makes me do is not want to meet him. If he's this pushy via text/messaging, how pushy is he going to be in person? If he can't take no now, what are the odds he can take no in person? I once had a guy demand that I rank my sexual partners. I told him no. I told him I can't and I won't. Dude flew off the digital handle. I blocked him right then. I once had a guy demand that I rank my sexual partners.
Was he looking for recommendations? As in, did he want to fuck them too? Well, if you like twinks, Jake's your boy, but if you're looking to power bottom, I should introduce you to Doug.
Asking personal questions that have nothing to do with why you are communicating in the first place. Example, getting my muffler welded and being asked by the welder, where do you live? How long have you lived there? Do you have roommates or is it just you? And about 30 more personal and invasive questions. So fucking uncomfortable. Telling me things they would do to me if I didn't have a husband. Being out somewhere and them not letting me leave. Not taking no for an answer. Telling me that they drive by my home to see if I'm there. Telling me that they drive by my home to see if I'm there.
Okay, WTF, that is definitely not normal behavior.
Literally had a coworker text me, and when I didn't answer, he said I drove by. Wanted to know if you were around to chat.
Standing too close. How do you know if it's too close? I'll back up half a step, don't match it. Edit, wow, this blew up. Thank you for the awards, I've never gotten one before.
Holy shit, don't match my step back, please.
I got really good advice once. Take a step back with one foot and kind of lean your body more towards that foot. combined with defensive body language. Like crossing your arms, you're putting distance between you, and they can't match your step because your other foot is in their way.
Obviously can't speak for all women, but we generally don't have a fantasy of belonging to someone in a controlling sense. A lot of men can be pretty controlling without even knowing it. A guy I'm seeing took me out to a baseball game for our first date. It was nice. I didn't get any weird vibes from him at all. After the game, he asked if I wanted to go see some of the spots he likes to go walking. I didn't think much about it until we got there, and I realized he was basically taking me to the woods in the dark. He told me to follow him, and I'm thinking I'm about to get killed, but it turns out he just wanted to show me his favorite place to go on walks and chill, because you can see the entire city from there, and at night it looks really pretty. He took me to a couple more trails that night, and I ended up having a great time and forgot that it's pitch black outside, and I'm with a guy I've never gone out with before out in nature. Definitely thought I was going to get killed at first, though.
What a bummer that moments like that are dangerous, because taking someone to a neat walking spot, where you can see the whole city, is like straight out of a romance movie.
I'm a guy, and following someone into the woods like that would scare the hell out of me.
When men try to show off their dominance over you, or anyone really. Like when you mention something to a guy about another guy, and he goes, "I'll kill anyone who talks to you." It's quite frightening, really.
I had a female friend that thought that being told I would beat the shit out of any man that talks to you by a guy that she recently met was cute because he was overprotective. I told her that was a huge red flag. She didn't think so. Surprisingly, it was a red flag.
Pick me up. I'm short and have a slight build. It's not that I'm scared of them trying to prove how strong they are. I'm just terrified of being dropped.
Gross. I'd forgotten about this. I was small in high school, and everyone would pick me up. They thought it was funny. Then I got old and fat. No one wants to pick me up anymore.
Hovering. Don't hover behind me. That's one of the very few things that makes me nervous.
I'd be nervous if some guy just floated up behind me too.
I thought you wrote hoovering, and I was so confused why a vacuuming man scared you.
Pretending we're deeper friends than we are, being overly familiar and then acting like they have a right to you. Had a guy do this in college. When I told him he didn't get to dictate who I talked to, he spit his drink in my face. I barely knew him. I don't know why you're acting so cautious. If I wanted to kill you, I would have already done it. Said to me by a friend of a friend I was meeting because it was his first time in a foreign country.
I was told basically the same thing on my most bearable to share worst first date. Place we were going to go was closed, so he suggested a walk around the nearby lake. I stupidly agreed. Even though it was a usually busy public area, it was pitch black and almost no one was out. It was late at night and winter. The further we got from the street, the creepier and angrier he was getting, like he had been wearing a mask, and it was starting to slip off. I was getting legitimately scared. Right as I made up my mind to turn around and leave, he said, "It's such a beautiful night. So peaceful and quiet out here. If I wanted to, I could really take my time raping and killing you right here and no one would even hear us." And then he laughed a big laugh and tried to pull me in for a kiss. Said he just had an unconventional sense of humor and felt comfortable enough with me to be himself. Big yikes, buddy.
Blocking the doorway, especially during an argument. X did that and would make himself bigger, spreading his arms, etc., so I couldn't leave the room.
That sounds like he knew exactly what he was doing. Glad you got out of that one.
Happened few times. I was working late in small market with no one around, and when they come in and ask me if I'm not scared to be alone. Well, now I am, thanks.
One time I was closing up shop, not realizing a customer was still in the store. I was a new manager, and when he walked up to the register while I was taking out the till, he said, "Wouldn't it be funny if I just robbed you right now?" And laughed. I was so shocked and scared, I just looked at my cashier, and we nervous laughed and politely asked him to leave, which he did. We freaked out after we locked a door behind him.
I wore a giant fuzzy rainbow coat to work last week, and one of my co-workers, a lovely but very awkward 50-ish-year-old man, said to me as he came into work, "I want to meet you." I sort of blinked and paused for a half minute and just said, "Oh." And he sort of crumpled in on himself and said, "I want to eat your jacket." because it looks like fair floss, and then he made a very quick exit from the conversation.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget subscribe our channel and watch our other videos. Bye.